Hi, my name is Jerry Wise. I'm a relationship expert, and I've been a professional caregiver and helper and relationship expert for over 35 years. I'm the director for the Center for Self-Differentiation at Family Tree Counseling Associates in Carmel, Indiana, on the north side of Indianapolis. Today's video is entitled, "My spouse just told me they have been having an affair and they want a divorce." There are many couples and many spouses who come to me when that occurs, and they come seeking help, not only to maybe try to reconcile with their spouse and hoping that a marriage and family relationship expert could help them do that, or they've come in that they feel their marriage is over and it's been a crisis and they are left all alone and need support and help. I think far too many people come to me for that at that point, sadly, because I think that is an excellent point at which someone should be getting help for themselves, because it's such a big crisis and there are so many layers and so much going on at this particular point when someone says, "I'm having an affair, I want a divorce, I'm leaving you." It certainly is a very shocking time, and hopefully these kinds of shocking statements don't happen in your life very often. They're very traumatic. But I can think of one of the most shocking, upsetting is that one in which your partner states that they want a divorce and they've been having an affair. And that is such a traumatic abandonment, such a traumatic, painful experience. I've had many spouses call me after they hear these words. They're struggling for balance. They want to reduce their panic, their fears, their anger, their hopelessness, their desire to bargain themselves back into the marriage. Often they are tearful, crying, feeling abandoned, rejected. They often feel they have just had an amputation of the limb or some major organ. It feels about that traumatic for them. People often ask me if people can feel multiple feelings at one time. Well, just ask someone who has been left in a marriage. And this video is about the left one, not the leavee, the one who's leaving, but the one who's left. And I call them the left one. And certainly for the one who has been left, there's multiple feelings that are felt in just a cycle of painful feelings. So many times divorce grows out of a dysfunctional marriage, including emotional forces from our family of origin. As I've mentioned in my recent videos, all affairs begin in childhood. You can watch that video on YouTube, and I think you'll get an idea of how old some of these crises and how old some of these issues are for many people. They just get acted out when we become adults and when we find our own marriage. Maybe we've suspicioned an affair by our spouse, and maybe we're just completely surprised when we hear this news. Most left ones hope that there's a chance to really change the marriage and make things right. Many times there are chances. Many times couples can get their marriage back on track. However, when the leaver is under the influence of an affair, and I do talk about being under the influence of an affair, it is difficult for them to see things very clearly. They will often be calmer and less emotional about these events, the one who's leaving, because they've been living with this decision and news for some time. It's only new to us who are the ones being left. It's not news to the leavee. They've been thinking about it for some time. And in fact, they've been dealing with some of that pain and difficulty with the affair. The affair is like a drug, and it's a very powerful drug, actually. And because they've been living with this decision and news for some time, this may be the first time you are hearing of it. So from the start, you and your spouse are in totally different places in in totally different spaces, paradigms, and emotional processes. You're not in the same place. When this happens, remember both of you are not on the same page at all. This is why not much hearing, and I put hearing in quotes, goes on between the two of you. Oftentimes the left one will try to convince the one leaving to not leave. And they can't understand why their husband or wife is not listening to them, not hearing them. Because you're not in the same place. And because you're not in the same place emotionally. Often when we hear this bad news, we find we are in a swirling emotional roller coaster amongst all of these feelings. Panic, anxiety, anger, grief, hopelessness, and the desire to bargain to get things back to where they were before the crisis. We also become very reactive during this time. And often the one leaving doesn't understand it, and the one that has been left doesn't understand it. We find ourselves blaming our spouse. We find ourselves blaming the affair partner. We find ourselves blaming ourselves for what has happened. Blaming is normal and natural for someone in this stage, but not a healthy or healing process. Most severe feelings often occur around the abandonment and rejection. When a spouse comes to us and says, I've been having an affair and I want a divorce. We begin to realize that family life as we knew it is now over. And then we start worrying and fretting about what about the children? How are they going to do? Often during this time we find ourselves catastrophizing very heavily. We can often make a bad situation worse because of the catastrophizing, the worry, the panic, the fear, the hopelessness, the bargaining. And during this time we're thrown off our emotional center. So what can we do to help ourselves and our family and our children during this time when we've heard this news? And again, I do this video to help those who've just heard that news and want to know, what can I do right away? What should I do to balance myself? So what can we do to help ourselves, our family, and our children during this time? Maybe even leave open the possibility of reconciliation, though that is not always possible. But we don't want to do anything that would inhibit reconciliation, if that's possible. First of all, I would avoid catastrophizing, which is very easy to do. My life is over. Nothing ever good's going to happen. I'll never be able to find anyone else. I'm worthless, and I'll probably just die alone. Those are the kinds of thoughts that go through our mind during this time. Get help quickly. Often many wait too long and do unhealthy things or unhealthy behaviors or make missteps before they get help. Only making, again, as I've said, a bad situation worse. Of course, never use the kids to fight. Don't involve the kids in your marriage. I realize they are affected by your marriage, but do not involve them in your marriage. Always remain the parent. Don't be the spouse with your kids. And that's what I advise clients who I see. Exit the emotional triangle of the affair with coaching and or therapy. We need to get out of the triangle between our spouse, the affair partner, and us, which is an emotional triangle, and really can wreak a lot of emotional havoc. Don't use your leaving spouse as your therapist to feel better, or to comfort you, or as a confidant. Don't go on acting like, well, we're just married, so I can tell them anything. No, they have just said the marriage contract is broken. Protect yourself. Confide in friends, relationship experts, etc. That's who you should confide in. Don't try to get your help and succor and comfort from your spouse who's leaving you. They're the ones whom we often see as causing the pain. They're not the ones who can fix the pain. Be very careful how you use family members during this time. They can be used for your comfort and support, but watch how you bring them watch how you bring in your family of origin into your marriage. It can get very messy and cause problems if reconciliation is possible. Also, if reconciliation is not possible, your estranged spouse still may be the father and mother to your children for years to come, and we don't wish to alienate them from your family of origin. I'm not saying you can't feel angry, hurt, disappointed, rejected, abandoned, but just watch who you share that with. Family of origins and your family members have a dog in the race, and that dog in the race is you. They love you, and if they take your side because of everything you're spilling out to them during this time, and then things shift between you and your ex, or you and your estranged spouse, they may be behind the curve on that, and thus it continues to cause problems even after things get better with you and your spouse. Don't triangle with the kids. Never use the kids to spy. Never let kids play one spouse against the other. And again, don't invite them into your marriage. Don't use the kids to communicate to your spouse, particularly negative feelings. Also, be careful. Don't use your kids for support and comfort. Be a comfort and support to them. Get your comfort and support elsewhere, particularly with people that don't have a dog in the race. It is usually unwise to pursue someone when they are moving away from you or have moved away from you emotionally. You won't be heard and often empathized with when you're trying to feel heard when we're pursuing somebody and they're moving away. Our initial desire is to pursue our leaving spouse and to, quote, get them back, end quote, or to help them see the error of their way, or to help them understand how they're under the influence of an affair. Many times we will enlist others to help us in this effort. Some enlist pastors, family, friends, co-workers of the leaving spouse, kids, even trying to talk to the affair partner to leave your spouse is not unheard of or uncommon. But I will say that this is 99% not helpful and is done out of fear of abandonment. Focus on you, not the marriage during this time. Never threaten to try to get a spouse to end an affair or to rethink a divorce. For example, if you leave me, I will make your life a living hell with lawyers and the kids, so don't even think about divorcing me. That sets up a very negative situation for the future. Begin to change you, not your spouse, not the spouse who is leaving. You can invite your spouse to get help for themselves. This is often the most power you have. There's nothing wrong with telling an ex, hey, I think you really need to get some help for you. But don't tell them all the ways in which they need to change or get help. They need to seek that on their own. Work neither to run away from your spouse nor to enmesh with your spouse. Staying centered is lots of work, and I think it's possible to do. Avoid demonizing your leaving spouse or the affair partner. Your spouse and the affair partner are just people too. They're just human beings just like you. And again, I'm not saying there are not some dysfunctional dynamics at work in here, but if you're not the affair partner's therapist, and if you're not your ex-spouse therapist, then your opinions are probably not very welcomed at this point. Again, get help to keep you centered and moving in a positive direction, regardless of the leaving spouse's ultimate choices. It's a win-win if you keep a focus on you and focus on fixing, healing, and resolving issues for you. Then whatever happens will be a plus for you. If you need to talk to someone, I've coached many clients through this difficult time, and I've helped them to the other side. Some reconcile and some do not. The story is complicated for each couple, and having a relationship family systems expert is the best way to navigate these very troubled waters. If you'd like more resources, contact me via email. If you'd like more help and individualized help, contact me. The information's on the screen. I hope you'll join our Family Tree channel on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook. I post all of my new videos there as well. And I have over 100 free videos on YouTube for you. And whether you're in Scotland, Russia, USA, California, Israel, or Canada, or anywhere in the world, the internet allows you to get the best advice and individualized help with Skype, FaceTime, or the phone. I want to thank you today for watching, and I hope you have a great day.